شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان فمن شهد منكم الشهر.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're welcome to today's episode of Premium Ramadan Spirit. I hope you are good. I'm good, of course. As you can see, I'm doing fine. And may Allah accept our deeds and acts of worship in this beautiful month of Ramadan. So, inshallah, we are moving on with our discussion. And we've selected a particular verse today. And the verse is such that it has a connection, a close connection with the verse that we treated in the last episode that we met. And in the last episode we talked about forms of worship, some forms of worship that some of us might not be familiar with, but yet they are forms of worship, an act of worship, as well as seeking help with patience and salat. Now, it's everything is connected with supplication, and that's why we are bringing another verse today, so that there can be a sequential, a kind of coherence, a connection between the previous video and this particular video, because of course it's targeted towards the mood in which we are now, and this is the Ramadan spirit. So it's a period of dua, it's a period of supplication, it's a period of cure, it's a period of forgiveness and Allah granting every of our wishes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us and grant our heart's desires, both the open and the secret ones. So inshallah, we are staying in Surah Al-Baqarah. And we'll be looking at verse 170 or 186, verse 186, inshallah. So as usual, okay, we're going to recite it and then we're going to do full exegesis, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب الدعوة الداعي إذا دعان فليستجيبوا لي وليؤمنوا بي لعلهم يرشدون. So that's the verse for today. إذا سألك عبادي أني فإني قريب. You can see that this particular verse is directed to us. Like, yo, I'm ready to listen to you. I'm ready. I know you're going to call on me. But how are you going to do this? How can you effectively call on me? And I'm going to answer you. This is what the verse is about to teach us. And there's so many other ethics of dua, supplication, that we can find in this verse. And inshallah, we'll touch on some of them. Meanwhile, maybe there will be a video for that specifically, maybe after the month of Ramadan, inshallah. Allah said, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ إِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. O Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when my slaves, we're going to interpret everything, when my creatures, when they come to you and ask you about me, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ, tell them, I am near. أُجِيبُ الدَّعْوَةَ الدَّاعِي إِذَا دَعَانِ, I answer the call of any caller. Okay? فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي, they should answer me as well. وَلِيُؤْمِنُوا بِي, and they should believe in me. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ, maybe they might be guided. Wow, strong words, deep meanings. I'll try my best, inshallah. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي, it's a conditional statement. إِذَا, okay, an example of such is إِذَا صَلَّى أَحَدُكُمْ إِلَى شَيْءٍ يَسْتُرُهُ مِنَ النَّاسِ. مُصَلَّى, whenever, that's the meaning of إِذَا. When, it's a conditional statement. It is like if and then. If this, then it follows. It's a consequential statement. إِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Oh, before we move into that, let me quickly take us into the signs of tafsir a bit. I have told you, you are going to come for that in the class, but let me just share this with you, okay? Because it's imperative. It's something that we should know. When you look at the verses of Al-Quran Kareem, from the first verse to the last verse, they are just divided into two. The verses of Al-Quran Kareem, they are of two categories. There are ones that are ibtida'iyun. I'm talking about sababun nuzul now. It's a special topic in Usul Tafsir. There are some verses that are sababiyun, and there are some other verses that are what? Ibtida'iyun. Let me start with ibtida'iyun. Ibtida'iyun are those verses that do not have any reason for revelation. There was no reason for that led to the revelation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just revealed to them because of the need. Just like that. It's part of the injunctions. There are much more in the Quran. The other category are sababiyun, verses that have reason for revelation, or there's a rationale behind revelation. Now, the rationale can come in different ways. The reason can come in different ways. First of which, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might be a response to the question put to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is why when you look at the Quran and you see verses like yas'alunaka, they will ask you, they will come and ask you. So in order for the Prophet sallallahu to have a response on ground, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reveal it. Or sometimes they would have asked and they are waiting for the response, all right? And that tells you that the Prophet sallallahu does not speak out of his heart, out of his whims and fancies. He was always waiting for revelation. An example of such in Surah Al-Baqarah is yas'alunaka anil khamri wal maisir. They will come and ask you about khamr, alcohol, wal maisir, and gambling. Kul fihima ithmun kabir. Tell them, in both of these activities, there are big sins. Wa manafi'u linnas, and there's advantage for it. There's advantage in it for men. Okay, even though the scholar said that the advantage that was in alcohol as at that time, and even up to this time, is al-mas'alatun al-madiyya, that this thing sells a lot. People can make money from it. But then you will think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, of course, it's good to gamble, and it's good to always to also take alcohol. But then immediately Allah said, "Wa ithmuhuma akbaru min naf'ihima." Let them know the harm in both is much more than the benefit in the two. Yas'alunaka. Check those verses. Yas'alunaka, and make your research. You're going to see that there's a reason for revelation. Another way by which there's a reason for, like the way in which reason for revelations come, okay, with regards to sababi, verses with reason, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might be warning us against an event or a particular attitude which is dangerous for us. There's a particular one in Surah At-Tawbah. Allah said, "Wala in sa'altahum la yaquluna innama kunna nakhudu wa nal'ab." If you ask them, they will say, "We were only joking, we were only cracking jokes, and we were only catching fun." Qul abillahi wa ayatihi wa rasulihi kuntum tastahzi'un. Tell them, is it Allah, His Messenger, and His signs that you are making mockery of? Okay, it was an event that happened. They were on a journey, and some guys were just out of the Munafiqun, they were just making a mockery of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Like, we don't know people that are they are glutton, and they are so cowardly. They are coward. When they see enemies like this, they will run. Then the person said, "So you are making a mockery of the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm going to tell him." But before the person could get to the Prophet ﷺ and report, the revelation had come. And say, before the person got there, the revelation had gotten to the Prophet ﷺ. And then he said, when you ask them, that's what they're going to say. Just tell them they are what? They have disbelieved. So that's another reason why we have sababiyun. Another reason, or another way why verses come with a reason, is that an event might occur that there needs to be a judgment of Sharia on it. There needs to be a ruling on it. Everybody might be confused, right? But there's an event, there's an occurrence that has happened, and we need to know the ruling. We need to know the way out. So verses are always revealed to that effect. You can see that in Surah Al-Mujadila. قَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّتِي تُجَادِلُكَ فِي زَوْجِهَا وَتَشْتَكِي إِلَى اللَّهِ. It's about the ruling of zihar. Okay, zihar is a form of talaq. It's a form of marriage dissolution, in which a man will just look at his wife and say, as you are looking now, you are just like my mother. is it possible for you to sleep with your mother again? So at that time, that woman is prohibited from him, because you cannot sleep with your mother. So once you are comparing your wife with your mother, then the implication is that you cannot do everything that you used to do with her as husband and wife with that kind of woman, because she's now at the level with your mother. Can you sleep with your mother? Can you have sexual intercourse with your mother? If you cannot have sexual intercourse with your mother, then such a woman is prohibited for you. And most times the Arabs used to do that out of anger, like when they are angry at her. But yet they will not divorce her, but they will just say, you are just like my mother. Your back is just like that of my mother. That is me of the heart. Okay. So some of us that used to say, my wife is my mother, be very careful of that statement. Be very, very careful of that statement. Wallah. It's huge. It's huge. It's huge. So let's move on. Anyway. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my slaves, عِبَادِهِ. There are two meanings to the interpretation of ibadi. Ibadi bima'ana creatures. All human beings. They are the slave of Allah. Okay? Taw'an or karahan. Either you like it or not, you are a slave of Allah. You have to subjugate to this decree in one way or the other. Okay? And there's a usage of this in the Quran. Allah said, وَإِذَا قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Tell my slaves, tell my creatures, if they have oppressed their own souls, لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ, they should not give up on the mercy of Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Allah forgives all sins. Okay, so that shows you that it is not restricted to believers as Muslims, of course, but it extends to every human being. Whatever it is that is a sin that you have committed, you just have to run back to Allah, whether it is shirk, whether it is whatever kind, just go back to Allah. Allah is ready to accept you. And of course, we're in the month of Ramadan. You can see the reason why we are taking these verses. Okay, we have to connect it with the circumstance in which we found ourselves. All right. So as a slave of Allah, all right, whether you are a believer as a Muslim or whether you are not a Muslim, you are still a slave of Allah. All right. The second interpretation to ibadi is ibadatun at-tashrifiyya. Okay, ibadatun, the one with honor, and that is being subjugated, being in servitude to only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why you should be proud if you are called a slave of Allah. Why? Because people are so proud of being the cupbearer of a king. They are so proud of being the baker of a king. Of course, that's servitude. Yes, I'm the baker. I'm the cupbearer of king. So. But you should feel more honorable being the slave of Allah. You are serving Allah only, the Lord of the worlds. So I think Christians and Jews should begin to now appreciate the reason why we Muslims call ourselves slave of Allah. It's a great honor. It's the height of honor. When you are being in servitude, when you're in servitude to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. It's not a joke. Wallah, it's not a joke. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. If you are proud of being the cupbearer and the servant and the messenger of the king, and then you feel proud, like, yes, I'm the right hand man of the king. Then what about being the slave of the Almighty? وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When they ask about me from you, فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. Tell them that I'm near. Tell them I'm near. I'm not far-fetched. Inni qarib. I am not remote. Inni qarib. I am within reach. Inni qarib. I am not due absconditus. But inni qarib. I am not due otiosus. Might be like, this guy is speaking Latin, but this is a Quran class. I will explain. I am not far from them. I am not remote. Due absconditus is a God that created and absconded. He left everybody to their own. It's just like creating the world and not getting involved in the affairs of the world. That's a remote God. Allah said, I'm not remote. Deus otiosus. Deus otiosus. Deus otiosus is when there's a God. Okay, all of these things I'm talking about you find them in religious studies. Okay. a God that is not concerned or that intervenes, occasionally in the affairs of what? In the affairs of the of mankind. Allah said, I'm not in this category. I'm not in this category. I'm not far-fetched. I'm with them. I'm close to them. I hear them. I can listen to them. I see them. فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. I'm closer to them than their jugular vein. وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُهُ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. أُجِيبُ الدَّعْوَةَ الدَّاعِي إِذَا دَعَانِ. Please begin to appreciate all these, interpretations, because it's in the spirit of Ramadan. Please begin to connect it. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. I answer the call of anyone that calls on me. I answer the call of anyone that calls on me. Here, it means that you don't have to naturally disturb yourself. Just speak to Allah. You don't have to shout. And that's why I said some of the ethics of prayer, you can find it in this particular verse. Don't disturb yourself. You now start shouting and everything. Because Allah said, Inni qarib. Okay, you don't have to go to a mountain before you think Allah will hear you. You don't have to go inside depth of earth before you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hear you. Okay. You don't have to fly on the sky before you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hear you. Just in your own corner. Talk. As a matter of fact, the particular verse that I quoted the other time, with regards to ziyarah, qad sami Allah. Okay. Aisha said that, radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said that she was in the same room with the Prophet sallallahu, and the lady came and she was telling the Prophet sallallahu something in one corner, and she said she stood in another corner. She sat in another corner. She said that I that was in the same room with them, I could not hear, but Allah that is in the 7 heavens could hear them. Qad sami Allah. Indeed, Allah has heard. 7 heavens. 7 heavens. And yet the one that is very close to them could not hear. All right. So you don't have to disturb yourself. The sababu nuzul of this ayah, the reason for revelation, I didn't talk about it. Maybe I should bring it now. Was that the Prophet ﷺ said, Abdullah ibn Abbas said, he said that some Jews, some Yahud, they came to the Prophet ﷺ and said that, you said Allah, you said between the heavens, each heaven, there's about 500 years of journey. And we have 7 heavens like that. We have 7 heavens. So 500 times 7, like that. you know the number of years. So how are we going to supplicate to this Allah of yours that you're talking about? How is he going to hear us? Then this verse was revealed. When they ask you, tell them I'm near. Forget about the distance. I created the heavens and the earth, and I created the distance between them. You think that prevents me from hearing you? No. All right. I'm omnipotent. I am near. I am within reach. I am not Deus absconditus. I have not absconded. I have not left. I'm not Deus otiosus. I am not a remote God. Here, Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. Whenever they call on me, I answer them. I hear. They should not disturb themselves. This is the month of Ramadan. Whatever it is that you want, in terms of goodness, in terms of evils that you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ward off you, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. I answer when they call on me. Okay, so we need not disturb ourselves. I was making a reference to the hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha the other time. And the implication is this. The companions, at some point, they also felt like, they felt agitated. I think they were on a journey, or they were on an expedition. And, they got so, agitated, and, like the way you and I will get agitated. And then they started shouting on top of their voices, like they were supplicating. Then Professor came out to them and said, irba'u ala anfusikum. Take it easy upon yourself. I want to bring out fa'inni qarib ujibu da'wata da'i. Okay, I answer. I'm near. I answer. He said, Inna alladhina tad'una la asamman wala ghaiban. The one you are calling, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la asamman is not deaf. Wala ghaiban, and is not remote. Inna alladhina tad'una sami'un qarib. The one you are calling, Allah that you are calling, sami'un, He hears. Qarib is near. So why do you have to shout on top of your voices? Because you want to supplicate. All right. That is part of the ethics of supplication in Islam. You don't shout. You don't shout. Okay. You don't shout. Just imagine you want to collect something from your father or your mother and you're shouting at them. Walillahi masalul a'la. So Allah belongs the greatest of what? The greatest of example. The Lord of the world. You are now shouting on him. No, it's not ethical. It's not, as a human being, somebody should come to you and start shouting, I want this, I want that. Would you answer? It's disrespectful. Don't disrespect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't disrespect him. Calmly do what? Calmly ask him. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. I answer their call whenever they call on me. Either, that's a conditional statement as well. So that means if you don't ask, Allah will not give it to you. That's it. Except that he wants to give you out of his what? Out of his Ar-Rahman. Okay. Whether you supplicate to him, whether you don't supplicate to him, Allah will give everybody son. Whether you supplicate to him or whether you don't supplicate to him, Allah will give you rain. All right. Whether you supplicate to him, whether you don't supplicate to him, sometimes he will give you children. Okay. It's out of his Rahmah. Right? Out of his Rahmah. Okay. But of course, you need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Interakta su'aluhu yaghdabu. The moment you don't ask Allah, that is when he begins to be hungry. You must ask. Interakta su'al, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy. He's ready to answer you. That's it. He's happy. When you call on him, he will be, making, he will be showing off amongst the angels. In another hadith, or in another narration like that. That you see the set of people that you said I should not create the other day, you angels, come and listen. They are the ones calling me. My slave is calling me. My slave is supplicating to me. I'm happy. He's calling me. I'm so happy. I'm so elated. He will be showing off amongst the what? Amongst the angels. Right? Allah is happy whenever we call on him. Allah is happy. And it's a win-win thing for us. We are earning his pleasure. At the same time, whatever it is you want, you are gonna get it. Who is losing? If you don't supplicate to him, you are the one that's going to lose. Because lose. Allah, it's the month of Ramadan. It's the month in which prayers are answered. Please, let's take advantage of it. You can see the connection now with regards to Ista'inu bi sabri wa salah. Okay, seek help. All right, seek relief. The sabri wa salat. But then, this is about supplication and how you can successfully achieve this. Idha da'an, whenever they call on me. وَابْنَ آدَمْ حِينَ يَسْأَلُهُ يَغْضَبُ. It is human beings that whenever you ask them, that is when they become angry. But when Allah is being asked, he's happy. He's so happy. He's elated. He's happy. Yes, this is my slave. He understands my what? He understands my position in his life. And that is why, the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always angry when you don't ask him. The moment you stop asking him, okay, he becomes angry. It's because he is the only one that is self-sufficient. Is the only one that is al-Ghanij, is self-sufficient. We all are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, we are all relying on him. All right, Allah does not rely on anyone, so you cannot share that quality with him. That's it. Okay, that's the reason you cannot share that quality with him. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. I answer the call of anyone who calls on me. Falyastajibu li. But the condition is this again. They should also answer me. They should do what? فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. They should answer me. Before I move on from إِذَا دَعَانِ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ دَاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is despite the fact that he's the Lord of the worlds, he's still shy. The Prophet ﷺ told us, he said in an hadith, إِنَّ رَبَّكُمْ حَيٌّ كَرِيمٌ. Your Lord is hayyun, is shy, kareem, is honorable. Okay. يستحيي من عبده إذا رفع إليه يديه أن يردهما أو يردهما صفرا. Okay. Allah is so shy to the extent that he feels embarrassed each time his slave raises his hand to ask him, and then such a person brings those hands back. Okay, or the person asks and Allah does not grant. Sufran, that's it. So this is another ethic of dua, which is what? Whenever you are making your supplication, raise your hands. Allahumma, Allahumma ya Rabb, ya Rabb. We know the this of the man that was on a journey, and then he was raising his hands, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. Okay, so that's another ethics which the Prophet Sallam told us that whenever it is you are making supplication, you raise up your hands, you ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Okay, it's one of those measures that leads to prayers being answered, because Allah Prophet Sallam said Allah is Hayyun Kareem, he's shy. Okay, he's always embarrassed if he asks a slave raises his hands and such a person gets his hand back empty, like he doesn't answer the person's prayer. He would surely answer you. That's it. One way or the other, he will surely answer you. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. I answer the call of any caller idha da'an, whenever he calls on me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. They should answer my call as well. They should answer my call as well, which is obedience to me. That's the only thing I'm asking. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. And that's why in the month of Ramadan, we have to run back to Allah. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Let's run back to Allah. Answer his call. Fulfill all his obligations. All right? The obligation between you and him, fulfill it. The obligation which you have towards your parents, which is pleasing to him, fulfill them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي. They should answer me. One of the reasons, or one of the factors that leads to being answered, is when you answer the one who is about, or who you are asking something from. Walillahi masalul ala. Just imagine as parents. Okay, your parents say do this and do this and do this and do that. You didn't answer them, and you expect to get whatever it is you want from them in return. Just like that. Okay. Not the case that sometimes you can just be oblivious of the fact that maybe you forgot, and but you make it your own constant attitude that they just tell you to do something, you don't do it, and that's it. Okay, most especially it's not something that's going to lead you into sin, or it's going to lead you into disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if it is not the case that parents would want to answer us, or you as an elderly person, you want to answer your siblings that way, because you ask them to do this and do this for you, which is normal, but then they fail, but then they want to get something from you, would you answer them? Walillahi masalul a'la. So Allah belongs to the greater example. You want to take from Allah, but you don't want to give him his own right. That's not possible. Okay. وَلِيُؤْمِنُوا بِي. And they should also believe in me. Believe in me. هنا الإيمان هنا بمعنى الإيمان بالله, and everything. Believe in Allah. Be a believer. All right. It can also have another meaning to it, which is they should believe in me, in the literal sense of believe in me. Something like, guy, chill. Come on. I'm going to give it to you. Okay. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you. Don't worry. Take a chill pill, right? Have trust in me. That's it. Trust the process. They should trust the process. Let me go back a bit. Ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. Let's go back there. Allah said that he's going to answer the call of the caller. The companions of the Prophet, they were surprised, and the Prophet, while explaining this particular ayah to them, he told them that yustajabu ahadukum ma lam yadda'i bi bil ithmi. Every one of you will be answered for as long as the person does not supplicate for sin, for something sinful. Maybe yes, I want to, God, let my application for this riba, let it be granted. No, riba is haram. Ma lam yadda'i bil ithmi. For as long as you do not supplicate for something that is sinful, that's one. Aw qati'atur rahimi, or to break family ties. Yes, that's my uncle. God, curse him for me. I don't want him to. Just let him have an accident. Just let him. Allah will not grant that. I will sta'jala. That's the third one. Or when the person is in a haste. I will sta'jala. Or when the person is what? When the person is in a haste. Then the companions are like, being in a haste. How can somebody be in a haste while supplicating? The Prophet said, of course, a person can be in a haste. All right. And this is something that a lot of us fall into. You can see some other ethics of dua. Okay. You do not supplicate for something that's sinful. You do not supplicate for something that's going to break family ties. You should not you should not supplicate in a way that then you become hasty. You have to trust the process. Wali you may no be. That's what I'm talking about now. Trust the process. Okay. When it's taking too long, do not be in a haste and say, "Oh, I've supplicated, I've supplicated, I've supplicated. I don't think Allah is going to answer me." That's it. That's the meaning of being in a haste. And it might be that your dua is close to being answered, then that is when you jettison the dua. Then, of course, the person loses out. So the Prophet was warning us about that and was warning the companions as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy and grant us patience, you know. It's going to be sabri wa salah. Sabr. Okay. For your dua to be answered, you need that patience. While you may know be and trust Allah. Believe in Him. Like trust the process. Okay, just like somebody coming to you and I've been expecting this thing, and you tell the person, guy, you don't trust me. Believe in me. I said I'm gonna do it. I'll do it for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you the same thing. Guy, calm down. I will do it for you. Okay, because ujibu da'wata da'i idha da'an. For as long as you can remember or you can make the dua, whether it is answered in quick succession or not, just know that the prayer is what? The prayer is answered. That is it. Idha da'an. That's the only condition there. Well, ujibu da'wata da'i, I answer the call once the person makes the dua. Whether it is now answered quickly or it was delayed, then that is between Allah and that is for Allah to decide, with regards to the qadar, what He has written down for you. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ, so that they may be guided. Now, I want to call your attention to something with regards to فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ. Okay, because this happens to be within the trust process, right? You have to trust the process. There are three circumstances or three conditions between the trial and the dua. Let me quickly point this out. Between the trial and the dua. First, it is either that your dua is stronger than the trial. Okay, in that circumstance, your dua will overpower the trial. In another case, the challenge is stronger than your dua. For whatever reason, why your dua is not strong, is for you. Okay, you might have fallen into some things, and it is diminishing the effect of your dua. So sometimes the challenge, okay, the trial might be stronger than your dua. Despite that fact, I'm trying to say ujibu da'wata da'i, despite the fact that Allah just answers, the fact that the prayer is there, it will mitigate the calamity that is about to befall you. So it's in all these three circumstances that I'm about to mention, it's a win-win-win, even though sometimes your dua might be weak. But the dua will still it will still mitigate it. It will act like a shock absorber. So let's say, for instance, the person is meant to die, then the person might just have a minor accident, and the person might just be at home for some while, or something that is grievous than that is supposed to happen, but it's because of the dua at least. But the dua is weak. Okay, it's weak in effect. And the last one, the last circumstance or the last condition between the dua and the supplication is that both of them are strong. So at Yawm al-Qiyamah, till the day of judgment, the dua will be overpowering the trial will overpower it, the dua will come and overpower it again. Okay, and you'd realize that in that kind of situation, all right, such a person will now be like, why is this thing not answered? Why is it not answered? Your dua is still being answered because it is overpowering the calamity. The calamity is overpowering. It is overpowering it. All right. So that is to tell you that ujibu da'wata da'i. I'm using that to buttress it. Ujibu da'wata da'i is at the end. You just make the dua. Whether it is the case that Allah will grant it, that's the first case. Whether it is the case that fine, a calamity might occur to you, which is grievous than that, but yet your dua will still, mitigate it. That's a win for you. And in the last circumstance as well, it is still a win for you. Okay, you might just be at a fix, like, I don't think this thing is answered. Of course, your dua is answered. Wallahi, your dua is answered. That goes to show that ujibu da'wata da'i, you have called on me, whatever it is that is supplication that does not fall in all of these three categories, all the two categories of cutting family ties and supplicating for something sinful. Just know that your prayer is answered. Wallahi, your prayer is answered. These are the secrets, okay, which you cannot find in any other religion other than Islam. I bet it with you. Alhamdulillah ala ni'matil Islam. هذا والله أعلم. لعلهم يرشدون. Maybe they might be guided. That's it. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.